Welcome to Football Game Plan here on the Game Plus Network. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and we are unveiling a new Wednesday show called Football Game Plan's Power Rankings, where we'll rank essentially everything in the world of football, from our college football top 25, Heisman candidates, and other award candidates as well. On today's show, seeing that it is the NFL 100 season and it is kicking off on Thursday between the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears, we'll dedicate this entire show to the NFL by releasing our power rankings. So without further ado, let's start from number 32 and work our way up to number 1 as we kick off Football Game Plan's power rankings. The Miami Dolphins coming into the 2019 preseason looked like a team that could be a quiet, under-the-radar club in the AFC East. After the preseason, things changed dramatically for the Fins. They've named Ryan Fitzpatrick the starting quarterback, traded both Kenny Stills and Laramie Tunsil, subsequently making a questionable offensive line even weaker. And although they were able to net an impressive haul in the Tunsil-Stills trade, it looks like a team that's all in on 2020, which makes them all in at number 32 in our Week 1 power rankings. The defense can still be good in my opinion, but how long will they get dragged down by what looks to be just an okay offensive attack? Arizona checks in at number 31. However, their arrow is pointing up in my opinion. Entering the season, I'm more worried about the depth at corner more so than anything else. Now, they've dealt with some injuries and will be without Patrick Peterson for the first part of the season as he is suspended. That puts rookie Byron Murphy in the starting role very early, and we'll see how he'll handle that responsibility. Offensively speaking, I actually think they'll hit the ground running. Contrary to what we saw in the preseason, I have no doubts or worries about the Cardinals' ability to move the ball with first overall pick Kyler Murray at quarterback. They won't be down here in the power rankings very long. Looking at teams 26 through 30, starting with San Francisco, who are the 49ers actually. I feel like folks like the idea of San Francisco, but they've quietly been overrated the last 2 seasons under head coach Kyle Shanahan, who also shares that same tag a bit as well. I like them more defensively than anything as they start the season. The same can be said about the Buffalo Bills. I've said numerous times that they have the best defense in the AFC East. We'll see if their offense can catch up in 2019, because if they can get any level of consistency from second-year quarterback Josh Allen, they'll be very dangerous. Detroit could be dangerous defensively, but I will still have to take a wait-and-see approach on an offense that looks to be lacking explosive threats. There are some questions about the offensive line, but I'm more concerned about a passing game that'll rely more on the tight ends than out on a perimeter. The New York Giants are an intriguing bunch. The quietest story during the preseason has been the improved play of the Giants' offensive line. All 4 quarterbacks in the preseason enjoyed success moving the football as they had a lot of time in the pocket. I'm also a firm believer that their defense in 2019 will be a lot better. They added a lot of youthful talent to the roster, and with the expected growth of second-year players Lorenzo Carter and B.J. Hill, amongst others, they figure to be significantly better defensively this year. We'll see how much better the offensive line helps out Eli Manning, who will have to play his best ball to keep rookie 6th overall pick Daniel Jones on the sideline for the full season. Oakland is another team that I think will be better than folks think, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Antonio Brown will be Antonio Brown. It doesn't matter if it's Pittsburgh, Oakland, or Bismarck, South Dakota. He's going to ball out. And I actually like Derek Carr and some of the additional pieces that they added to the offense. Where I worry is on the other side of the ball. Have they really gotten better defensively? We shall see. Moving on to teams 21 through 25, it'll be interesting to see the Bengals passing game to start the season as A.J. Green will miss some time with injury. Jacksonville and Tampa Bay are betting on improved QB play to help get them to the postseason this year. The same can be said about the Washington Redskins and New York Jets, and although Case Keenum will start the season for the Redskins, it won't be long before rookie Dwayne Haskins takes over and leads this football team. And if Sam Darnold can make huge strides in year 2, they actually have the weaponry offensively to make a push for a wild card berth in the AFC.
I'm Alex Marinoni, offering you Football Game Plan's best bets for Week 1. We're going to kick it off with the first game of the season, where the Green Bay Packers head into Chicago to play the Bears. The Bears are surefire Super Bowl contenders with an elite defense. That defense will be going up against Aaron Rodgers and his inexperienced weapons. Now, it is still Aaron Rodgers, so respect is given, but as of right now, the line is set at 46.5 total points for the contest. My best bet here, take the under. This game has 24-20 written all over it. Game 2, we have the Kansas City Chiefs going into Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Last year, we saw the Chiefs put up astronomical numbers offensively as Patrick Mahomes took the league by storm. This line is set at -3.5 to KC. And even with the addition of Nick Foles, I don't think it will be able to keep up. Take the spread on the Chiefs. Game 3, we have the Atlanta Falcons heading into Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Two teams with gunslinging quarterbacks who have the ability to put up big points. A healthy Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman paired with Calvin Ridley and Mohamed Sanu up against Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, and a healthy Dalvin Cook. The total points is set up at 48. Take the over here. Game 4 has the Tennessee Titans going to the preseason favorite Cleveland Browns. Uncertainty this offseason, Tennessee at the quarterback position going up against a much improved Cleveland defense and firepower all over the offensive side of the ball. The spread is set at -5.5 for Cleveland, and I believe they can win by a touchdown here, possibly even more. Game 5 has the Buffalo Bills going into New York to play the Jets. A lot of hype for the Jets offense with new head coach Adam Gase, year 2 of Sam Darnold, and now offensive weapon in Le'Veon Bell. Although up against a tough Bills defense, I believe points will be scored in this game. Josh Allen has weapons now on the other side and has the ability to change the field with one big run or throw. Total points is set at 40. The best bet here is to take the over. Game 6, the Baltimore Ravens heading into Miami to play the Dolphins. You have one team trending up in Baltimore and the other in Miami who's looking to rebuild. Now, I know that Ryan Fitzpatrick proved last year that he can make it work with talent that he has, but this year, he doesn't have the firepower such as Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, and O.J. Howard. I expect a real struggle offensively in Miami and Lamar Jackson and company to put up a lot of points. The line is currently at -7 for Baltimore. Take that line. Game 7 has the Washington Redskins heading to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. A clear favorites here in the Eagles, but are given a -9.5 spread. The NFC East always plays each other tough. With all the extra time to prepare, I see Washington keeping this one real close. Take the Redskins to cover. Our final game here has the Los Angeles Rams traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Now, I know that when Carolina is at full strength, they can compete with anyone. But this Los Angeles team is a different breed. Todd Gurley is presumed healthy, and they get a weapon in Cooper Kupp back. The spread is at -2.5 for Los Angeles. I would take that bet. This was Football Game Plan's Best Bets. I'm Alex Marinoni.
Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Ninth and Lux. Visit the website ninethandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music with featured artist IW in his latest album, Season 2. You can check that out on iTunes as well as doyoumusic.com. Nesby Phipps, Art, Life, Entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. Welcome back to Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. At number 20 are the Carolina Panthers. To me, they're still good enough to challenge for the division in the NFC South, but how healthy will Cam Newton be this season as he gets acclimated to his new throwing motion? That'll be the biggest key, in my opinion, as to how far Carolina can go in 2019. Now, here are teams 16 through 20. Tennessee has a lot of questions themselves with their own quarterback situation. Marcus Mariota is an unquestioned starter and playoff participant, but he definitely has to raise his level of play this upcoming season to give them a little bit more calm moving forward. Green Bay, in my opinion, will surprise folks defensively with how good they are. They've improved significantly on that side of the ball, in my opinion. And the Falcons hope that the investment of 2 first-round picks on the offensive line can help pay huge dividends immediately for their offense. As of now, it looks as if one of the rookies, guard Chris Lindstrom, will get the nod on the right side. Now, there are still some questions defensively in terms of their ability to rush the passer, so that's yet to be seen. We'll see if that can improve this upcoming season. A team that does not have that question would be the Denver Broncos. Denver has 2 excellent edge rushers in Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. They still have Chris Harris in the secondary and one of the better special teams units in the AFC. Offensively speaking, the hope is that adding quarterback Joe Flacco will help stabilize the offense, making them much more consistent from week to week. Now, the talent is there with a healthy Emmanuel Sanders and the emerging Cortland Sutton and Deshaun Hamilton at receiver, and an impressive collection of tight ends on this roster. Oh, by the way, they still have rookie Pro Bowl running back Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman in the fold, so keep an eye on the Broncos in the AFC West. Moving right along to teams 11 through 15, Minnesota hopes that with a healthy Delvin Cook in the backfield, they can get back to the postseason. And speaking of the postseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be looking to get back there as well in what is now a very tough AFC North. Seattle figures to be a much better passing team in 2019, and don't sleep on the Indianapolis Colts, as I believe quarterback Jacoby Brissett will definitely surprise some folks this upcoming season. But all eyes will be on our 14th ranked team, the Cleveland Browns. On paper, the Browns have arguably the most talented roster in football. On both sides of the ball, they are stacked with game breakers. Now, the hope is that the on-paper optimism translates to on-field success. Last year, we saw them hit their stride after new head coach Freddie Kitchens took over. Can they recapture that magic as the start of the season begins, and where they now have expectations? So we shall see, but the Browns will be a fun team to watch nonetheless. As we get into the top 10, we start to see the quarterback play become much more consistent. At least that's the hope this year of the Chicago Bears and their QB, Mitch Trubisky. The ageless wonder in LA, Phillip Rivers, hopes to finally get his team over the hump and into the Super Bowl. The Houston Texans' Deshaun Watson hopes that with the new additions along the offensive line, that'll help give him more time in the pocket to throw those accurate lasers to his excellent collection of perimeter targets. Now, the Ravens have improved significantly around their franchise quarterback Lamar Jackson and hopes to quiet the doubters this season with an explosive passing game to go along with what they do on the ground. And the Eagles hope that Carson Wentz can give them a full 16 games this season, as they have the best collection of receiving options, both wide receiver and tight end, in the NFC East. Both the Eagles and the Ravens look really strong on both sides of the ball.
Troy Anthony here, bringing you Football Game Plan's best bets for Week 1 in the NFL. Let's kick it off with the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle just stole Jadeveon Clowney from the Texans, and he's come out and said that he expects to be on the field for Week 1. At minus 400, I'm looking to take Seattle on the money line. Maybe even throw that into a nice little parlay. In Los Angeles, you have the luckless Colts coming in to take on the Chargers. With Derwin James missing from that secondary and all the talent on the Colts team, I think Brissett can keep this game tight, maybe even steal it. But I'm not going too far. We're going to take the Colts +6 in this one. Down in Tampa Bay, the Bucs will be hosting the 49ers. This is a tough one with so many questions on both sides of the ball with both teams. But with Jimmy G back healthy, I'm going to have to trust in him and that Kyle Shanahan offense and roll with the Niners on the money line at minus 109. Dallas will play host to the Giants in what seems to be an annual Week 1 matchup. I like the Giants with the spread here at +7.5. If Zeke plays, that line should only go up. These two teams rarely play in a game that's decided by more than 7.5 points. We get to see the debut of number 1 pick Kyler Murray at home as they host the Detroit Lions, as well as the rollout of the Cliff Kingsbury offense. Should be interesting to see what comes of it, but I don't think the Cards will be rolling just yet, as I'm taking Detroit with the spread at -2.5. Now let's hit some prime time games as the defending champs, the New England Patriots, host the Pittsburgh Steelers. In what can definitely be called the game of the week, we're going to find out how the Steelers fare with the loss of Brown and Bell. The Patriots don't miss a beat though. I'm taking them on the money line here at -235. This next one, the Saints hosting the Texans. It's any team's game here. Both of these teams are going to have a great season. It's hard to pick a winner, but I'm going to take the over here at over 53.5 points. This game should definitely be a shootout, as both of these offenses can be explosive. And finally, we have the Raiders heading to Mile High to take on the Flacco-led Broncos. The Raiders have tried their best to add more weapons on offense and on defense, but the Broncos could have one of the best defenses on paper and might have found their missing piece at quarterback in Flacco. In this Week 1 matchup, these teams aren't far apart, but I'm going to have to roll with the better defense here, and I'm going with the Broncos -109 on the money line. I'm Troy Anthony. We'll be back with more Football Game Plan after this short break.
Well, the game of football has taught me so many things, man. Now, think about the huddle we have right now, right? I tell people this all the time. There's a reason why they call it a huddle. You know, people have been huddling all their lives, trying to find ways to enhance each other's lives. The great teams do that all the time. The great teams do that. The better the huddle, the better the team. And so it's simple, man, how if you huddle for all the right reasons, we wouldn't have Ferguson. We wouldn't have some of the challenges that we have in our society. But as we all know, there's always a moment when somebody doesn't belong in the huddle. And yet we have to continue to move on. We got to continue to play. So the game of life, man, is always starting with the huddle. And for me, I'm lucky enough to know that, by the graces of God, man, it's been a nice huddle. It's been a nice huddle. And if I just keep making sure that he's in front of me, I'm gonna be all right.
Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security. Stewardship Credit. Financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGo Offense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGo Offense. Welcome back to Football Game Plan's Power Rankings, and now it's time to dive into the top 5. And at number 5 are the New Orleans Saints. The Bayou Boys still have enough offense with quarterback Drew Brees, running back Alvin Kamara, and wide receiver Michael Thomas to be a contender in the NFC. And quietly, the defensive side of the ball has gotten a bit more versatile and deep at every level. There are some concerns about the run game and who's going to take over for Mark Ingram and how effective can that person be. But what we do know is that if that fails, the Saints' passing game can still get them to where they want to be in 2019. At number 4 are the Dallas Cowboys, and now that they have Zeke back in the fold, signed and ready to go, along with quarterback Dak Prescott and wide receiver Amari Cooper, this team has a chance to get to the Super Bowl. Say what you want about Dak Prescott, but it's hard to ignore these numbers. He's right on par with both Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, both of whom have recently been paid, and Dak will be paid accordingly as well. Plus, on the defensive side, the Cowboys have the athleticism and talent at each and every level of their defense. This is one of the more well-balanced teams in the NFL, so look for the Cowboys to be a big-time threat to go far this upcoming season. Next up are the Kansas City Chiefs, who were on the precipice of the Super Bowl last year. It's crazy to think that this season's team may be even better than last year's AFC Championship game squad, but here we are. They will definitely be faster, in my opinion, with the addition of wide receiver Mecole Hardman out of Georgia. Kansas City also got more wiggle in the backfield with LaShawn McCoy coming over after the preseason cuts, and defensively, they've taken significant steps forward from a personnel perspective to get better. Oh, they still have the reigning NFL MVP and quarterback Pat Mahomes. The Chiefs are a strong Super Bowl contender this upcoming year, definitely one of the top 2 in the AFC. And speaking of number 2 is where we have the Los Angeles Rams. Fresh off of signing a new contract extension, quarterback Jared Goff hopes to get his squad back to the Super Bowl this upcoming year. He has all the talent in the world around him at running back, wide receiver, and at tight end. Now, offensive line will be something to keep an eye on as they've made some changes there this offseason. Defensively, I still think they're going to be an active, athletic bunch that can do damage in regards to affecting the pocket and creating turnovers. They're still one of the favorites, early favorites, to come out of the NFC, in my opinion. And at number 1, how could you not have the reigning Super Bowl champion New England Patriots atop any preseason power rankings? The Pats are the gift that keeps on giving from a consistency standpoint, and if we're being honest, this year's receiving core of Julian Edelman, Josh Gordon, Demaryius Thomas, and rookie N'Keal Harry may be Brady's best since Randy Moss was catching rainbows in Foxborough. Also, I really like what they bring to the table defensively, especially at the second level. They have some of the more athletic and versatile backers in the game. So until otherwise noted, the Pats are the mountain the other 31 NFL franchises are still trying to climb. So just to recap, here are our NFL Week 1 power rankings. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but I think this is a well put together list. Sure to be 100 correct after Week 1, but all jokes aside, there are about a good 10 to 12 teams on this list that I think have legitimate Super Bowl aspirations in 2019, and about a good 6 that people think are terrible, but they'll end up being surprises as well. Hey, you know what? While I have you here, let's take a look at my very early MVP rankings for this upcoming season. At number 5, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. I'm expecting the second-year franchise quarterback to throw for over 3,500 yards and rush for 1,000 yards with 30 passing touchdowns and another 10 on the ground. If that's the case, the Ravens will be one of the final 4 teams in the NFL. At number 4, Saquon Barkley was sensational last season, winning Rookie of the Year, and figures to have an even more prominent role on this football team this upcoming season. Barkley, in my opinion, is this generation's version of Barry Sanders. What a tremendous talent he is, a true threat to score every time he touches the ball. Third on this list is Aaron Donald of the Los Angeles Rams. He should have won this award 2 years ago, and you could have made a strong case for him last season to win it as well. He's simply the most dominant player in football, regardless of position. Tom Brady checks in at number 2 on my list. As I mentioned earlier about this receiving core being his best since 2007, it wouldn't surprise me to see him put up Pat Mahomes-like numbers in 2019. And as long as Mahomes is under center, or in the pistol for that matter, he has a chance to put up video game numbers, in this Chiefs offense. While he may not throw 50 touchdowns this season, 49 isn't out of the question. He's going to be great once again this year for Andy Reid and Kansas City. So that's it for this week's episode of Football Game Plan Power Rankings. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also, subscribe to Football Game Plan Podcast on iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating, where you can find our NFL All 32 podcasts, as well as our many other college football podcasts as well. And as always, check out Football Game Plan's NFL All 32 show and College Football Tailgate show here on the Game Plus Network every Thursday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Check your cable provider for channel listings.